Japan is a very small country, and Japanese people are very honest. Japanese people are very hardworking, and Japanese people are innovative, and they people give importance of family value. They people give importance on work, work culture. They give importance on hard working, sincerity, honesty. These are the soft qualities that have helped Japan to grow tremendously. You all know that in the Second World War, Japan was almost devastated by the bombarding of the United States of America. But how Japan came back and became a rival power to the United States of America. So, what magic wand does Japan has that have helped Japan to become one of the strongest economies in the world? Okay, so in the First World War, Japan was a permanent member. Japan and Italy, along with America and Britain, were the permanent member of League of Nations. But Japan and Italy became violent, and they broke the norms, and they also involved in attacks and wars, and that is why both Japan and Italy were resigned, rather I'd say, or they came out from League of Nations, and ultimately with the invasion of Hitler in 1939 on Poland, Second World War started. But in the Second World War, we all know that Pearl Harbor bombing by Japan, and at the same time the destruction of Hiroshima and Nagasaki by United States of America, that devastated Japan completely. But how after that Japan became one of the strongest countries in the world? How Japan recovered its economy? How Japan became an ambitious country to the world? Okay, so today I will tell about these things to you. Many of my students are thinking that why Japan is so powerful country, why Japan is so developed, why Japanese people are in comparison with Americans and European people are short by figure, but and they are thin, but they are healthy. They live the longest years. They live most healthy life in the world. Remember, so their food habit, their culture, their etiquette, their behavior, their family value, their sincerity, their love for work, their hardworking mentality, all combinedly have transformed or built Japan in and brought it in today's position. Okay, so let me say about the development policy and some other societal policies that Japan has adopted in last what I say maybe last 70 years. Okay, in my book, in my recent book, How Can India Become a Superpower by 2047, a vision, in that book I have written about Japan. Now that I actually want to tell our students and youths that what India can learn from Japan. Japan, he can be a teacher to India, though there are many things what India can teach to Japan, but there are many lessons that India could accept or take from Japan for its growth agenda, because India wants to become a superpower by 2047. If India wants to become a superpower by 2047, then what lessons India can learn from Japan? So when I am talking about the mantras of India's gigantic growth and development, it remains incomplete if I do not take The example of Japan, a small island country located in the Northwest Pacific Ocean. How a country after major destruction in the World War II survived is a story of inspiration for others striving to achieve success and prosperity. Quote, the transformation of Nazi Germany and Imperial Japan into peaceful, prosperous, vibrant democracies remains to this day the gold standard of nation building, unquote. The country lost millions of lives and faced the devastation of major capital stock. The story of Hiroshima and Nagasaki is well known to students of all over the world. How was it? Quote, on August 6, 1945, during World War II, 1939 to 1945, an American B-29 bomber dropped the world's first deployed atomic bomb over the Japanese city of Hiroshima. The explosion immediately killed an estimated 80,000 people. Tens of thousands more would later die of radiation exposure. 3 days later, a second B-29 dropped another A-bomb on Nagasaki, killing an estimated 40,000 people. Japan's Emperor Hirohito announced his country's unconditional surrender in World War II. In a radio address on August 15, citing the devastating power of a new and most cruel bomb. So Japan was almost ruined and crippled in the Second World War. World War II destroyed Japan's economy, killing millions of its people and destroyed about 40% of its capital stock. This was the nature of devastation in Japan in the Second World War. Despite that, the archipelago of 6,852 islands defied its geographical odd position and foreign attacks. It became one of the world's most developed countries after suffering defeat in the Pacific Ocean and 2 atomic bombs. Japan had to surrender to the Allied powers and remained under the Allied powers for 7 years. Before that, remained under the Allied powers. The country had also suffered from various ups and downs. However, since 1947, when Japan adopted a new constitution, it started to support a unitary parliamentary constitutional monarchy with a bicameral legislation, the National Diet. The Allied forces almost destroyed Japan, but they could not destroy their spirit and hard-working mentality. 2 things, spirit and hard-working mentality. It could not be destroyed, but they could not destroy it. What are the things the Americans could not, or Allied power could not destroy? The spirit and hard-working mentality. Okay. So these are the 2 things that could not be destroyed in Japan, but they could not. Okay. Japan is the world's 3rd largest economy with nominal GDP. Yes, with nominal GDP, and the 4th largest by PPP, purchasing power parity. It is a global leader in the automotive and electronics industry. Its science and technology are envious to the world's other big economies like that of the USA, UK, Germany, China, France, etc. It is ranked very high on the Human Development Index. And interestingly, the country's people live the longest years on earth. Moreover, its culture is well known to the world. The sober demeanor and bowing down head before seniors and others are known even to a school student across the world. This is today's Japan, what we see before our eyes. Japan has many similarities with Indian political system. The only difference is that it is a constitutional monarchy. Like our president, the Emperor of Japan also enjoys ceremonial powers only. But the real power or executive power is vested with the Prime Minister and his cabinet. Fumio Kishida, who is a very close friend of our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And Shinzo Abe was also a great person. India had very good relation with Shinzo Abe in 2007 when Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh was there in India, and Shinzo Abe came to India and delivered a lecture in Parliament, and there he cited examples or his encouragement or his inspiration from Mahatma Gandhi and Swami Vivekananda. So Japan and India has a very good relationship from many decades. Japan has many similarities, I told, okay, and Japanese people are also very sober. They follow etiquette, they follow manners, and this mannerism and etiquette have made them lovable and respectable in the eyes of the world. India is also having the same system. In Japan, the opposition parties try to win concessions from the ruling party by refusing to participate in the legislative proceedings or using other delaying tactics. The approach takes advantage of the shortness of diet sessions and the tendency of the media to criticize the ruling party if it railroads a bill through the legislation. Benjamin Powell wrote about the rise and fall of Japanese economic growth story from the middle of the last century. But our concern is how Japan grew so fast and so smartly after losing millions of people and about 40% of its stock capital. What are the factors that contributed to Japan's rapid economic growth? Let us examine the factors first, which might be helpful for India, particularly the youths, policymakers, and students to learn. It is the case of low levels of privilege seeking of its people that help them to grow faster. Unlike India, the Japanese people and its special interest groups do not seek special privileges from the government. When a privileged group seeks special benefits from a government, it causes losses to society to a large extent. The level of interest groups' gains is much lesser than that of the overall losses to society, whereas the economic growth rate for the government also turns low. With the demand for the special privileges by the interest groups, the economic growth of a country gets slowed. Hence, we learned that we must not seek any special privileges from the government and our institutions where we are working except for a very emergency need. But here in India, maybe middle class people and some rich people also try to seek benefits from government. Undue advantages the people of India want to take. Here lies the difference between Japan and India and what India can learn from Japan. So we have to grow such mental makeup. Our students must be inculcated these lessons from their schools and childhood days. India will surely be a superpower with the selfless works of millions of today's students who will be turned into tomorrow's adult citizens. Today's students are tomorrow's citizens. So if the students of today are imparted this type of lessons, definitely they will become assets and they will become valuable human resources for national growth and development. A country becomes great only when its citizens become toilsome, patriotic, spiritual, inquisitive, and great. India must pay more attention to the savings of its people so that the country can find its investments through domestic savings besides the habit of small savings. is good for families too. It comes into use in times of crisis. All families must save a certain amount of money according to their capacity every month from their earnings. This is my humble request to every citizen of India, those who are earning, particularly the women of households. I request them to save a little bit every day, maybe 5 rupees, 10 rupees, according to your capacity. You keep something for your worst days, okay, that will come into use. So these will help them in meeting the needs of their children's education, family health crisis, and other challenges. The Japanese government encouraged its citizens the habit of savings by not taking away the incentive to save. The economic policy of India is required to be modified a little by paying interest to its citizens on their savings. Savings bank account interest rate is different in different banks, is very low at present, and these must be hiked to increase saving habits of citizens. The habit of saving should be encouraged at the school level also. The government may initiate an increasing rate of interest and decrease the period of maturity of its various schemes such as National Savings Certificate, Kishan Bikash Patra, etc. Japan quickly embarked on recovering its economy and national wealth. Quote, during the following decades and long into the 20th century, Japan underwent a torturous modernization process. Industrialization and urbanization swept through the country. Large, multifaceted corporations came into existence, many supported by modernizers in the Japanese government, who looked to Germany and the United States as examples of commercial and manufacturing economies. Liberals in Japan were impressed by British parliamentary democracy and the social reforms of the Victorian and Edwardian years and pushed for Japan to become more democratic, less hidebound by religious and patriarchal traditions. Unquote. This helped them to recover and turn into a modern democracy. Also, quote, Japan funded its investment and capital accumulation through high rates of domestic savings. As a result, gross private savings rose from 16.5% of gross national product between 1952 and 1954 to 31.9% in 1970 and 1971. You just imagine you just see the increase. Average domestic savings from 1960 through 1971 averaged 36.1% of national income. The United States, by comparison, averaged only 15.8% from 1961 to 1971. The Japanese government encouraged savings. The tax code allowed for a portion of savings to earn interest income tax-free in an employee-run savings plan. In addition, interest on the first $13,000 in each postal savings account was tax-free, and many people had multiple accounts. Unquote. When people will have more money, they will tend to invest, and businesses will have a greater incentive to exploit opportunities since they will reap the rewards. Like Japan, India must be the freest economy in the world. There should be special privileges for certain categories of industries that would bring more profit and increase the India's gross national product. However, this prioritization must be based on good market research and without obstructing the interest of other industries. Manufacturing in automobile and electronic industries such as electronic and solar bicycles, electric and solar cars, high quality laptops, mobile phones, software, robots, drones, airplanes, ships, rockets, spare parts, etc. should be encouraged more by providing special incentive. Where are automobile companies like Nissan, Toyota or Honda in India? Similarly, we do not find Indian companies like Sony or Funai, electronic company, electronics, manufacturing, consumer goods and manufacturing, Marubeni, metal and minerals, mining, metals and mining, Mitsubishi Corporation, chemicals and petrochemicals, motor vehicle parts or Elimatic, personal computers and peripherals, consumer electronics and optical equipment. We need similar types of industries here in India. Yes, we do have Reliance Industries, Tata Consultancy Services, Infosys, Hindustan Unilever, etc. And the top manufacturing companies are Ashok Leyland, Hero Honda Motors, Maruti Suzuki Limited, Mahindra and Mahindra Limited, Larsen and Toubro Limited, Godrej, Dabur India, etc. India has much more scope for exploring manufacturing companies. In manufacturing companies, India can provide more jobs. Indian automobile scientists might form small groups and set up manufacturing companies. There is no dearth of talent and money. What we need is encouragement from the part of government, and the government of India under Narendra Modi is doing the same thing. And all hassle-free facilities to set up industries and companies to carry job opportunities to the young graduates passing out from thousands of engineering colleges of India. The finance, industry, environment, ministries together should formulate policies for facilitating the startups and not playing a distorting role in startups. After setting up industries by the entrepreneurs, there should be relatively low government interference and high economic freedom so that they may assist the nation to grow more rapidly. Further, it can be added that, quote, low taxes and low levels of government intervention were the main policies driven that growth, unquote. Japan made large warships and advanced airplanes about 9 decades ago. Imagine, about 9 decades ago, Japan manufactured large warships and advanced airplanes. But what is the situation in India? India should focus on aeroplane or warships manufacturing, airplane manufacturing, robot manufacturing, defense equipments, pharmaceutical items. Right. So these are the things India should, and softwares, computer softwares, laptops, drones should be manufactured more in India, and that should be exported so that more foreign exchange can be reserved or can be earned by India. But after its dreadful defeat in 1945, following the use of atom bombs by American President Truman, the Japanese decided to give up their militarism and focused mainly on their economic development. When they started making small cars, the Westerners laughed at them. But today, the number 1 and number 2 best-selling 4-door cars in the United States are Toyota and Honda. Have our Maruti and Nano been able to tap the Western markets in such a style as Japan did? If not, then please explore the possibilities and attune every credible avenue to surpass Toyota and Honda in the Western market. Japanese people love and respect their own culture, and about nobody speaks English in Japan. It does not mean that they are not modern. They attempt to improve themselves through their own culture and focusing on their internal positivities. India, despite its multiculturalism and multi-regionalism, should adopt and promote its own culture and heritage more holistically among its people, especially among the students who are the future citizens of this country. Another very important factor is that both Japan and Korea turned away from hating their respective neighbors and their minorities. Persistently, large numbers of Koreans live in Tokyo and Osaka, and similarly, many Japanese people now live in Seoul. It is as necessary to highlight here that Japan occupied Korea for many years till 1945, and even Japanese soldiers. Japan occupied Korea for many years till 1945, and even Japanese soldiers abused tens of thousands of Korean women during that period. Now, both Korean and Japanese elites avoid English. Their nationalism has not focused on hating and harming their minorities. From Japan and Korea, India should learn a very good lesson that without equal participation of all communities, castes, and genders in national development programs, there can be no comprehensive and sustainable development in India. Secondly, by increasing enmity with Pakistan, we could not prosper properly. Pakistan should also change its outlook and stop all kinds of cross-border terrorism, violence and tension. All religions are the same and respectful. Let us live happily together with our own brothers as we happen to live in the pre-independence period together. Our religious minorities are our brothers and they should get equal and respectful treatment from both the Union and all state governments. What have Japan and Korea achieved in the last 30 years? Can India not achieve likewise after 3 decades of economic liberalization? This is my question actually. Let India and Pakistan be good friends, good partners, and good neighbors. I do not find any difference between my Pakistani brother and sister and my own brother and sister. We are the same. The only difference I find is in our language, food habits, and place of residence. I don't find any other difference between us. So rest is equal. So in place of enmity, let there be mutual respect and cooperation with each other. Let us help each other. Let us call each other as brother and sister. You will see that if you call any Pakistan person or any Pakistani as brother or sister, he or she will never retaliate or will never disrespect to you. And this, similarly, India also expects that Pakistan will show the same gesture. Okay, the success story of Japan is not merely observed by Western people. Quote, observers from the world often fasten with wide-eyed enthusiasm on the mysterious working of Japan Inc., that fabled edifice of business government cooperation. Unquote. Japan's continental flow of industrial miracles can be ascribed to its continuous application of single-minded energy. The dedication of people towards achieving success in business and trade is an asset of the country. Moreover, they have unity, and this sense of unity comes not from above, rather it comes from within. In Japan, one could find harmonious industrial relation. Both Japanese and Western companies try to keep the same kind of equitable and equable labor relations, except in the public sector, only where unions are strong. There is no sign of fabled harmony. This is already 29 minutes, so I would like to stop this video here, and in the next video I will say about some other policies and what are the comprehensive and national interest of overall average Japanese people. So in the next video I will say about the competitiveness and national interest of Japanese people, the basis of Japanese leadership, what is the foundation of Japanese leadership, and public relations in Japan. Also, I will focus on the issue that Japanese people do not seek final victory and Japanese industrial policy. Finally, I will say Japanese industrial policy maybe in the next 2 or 3 videos, and I expect that you will follow those videos, and if you like this, you will share with your friends and colleagues, and particularly with your students. That will help. Actually, my purpose of preparing this for the young people, for the students of this country, so that they get inspiration, and also the policy makers, so that they are aware of it and they implement the same in India also, so that India can become a developed nation by 2047. India can become a superpower by 2047, when India will celebrate its 100th year of independence. With this expectation and hopes, I would like to conclude here. Thank you. I would say good night to all my friends, all my viewers, all my colleagues, and all my students. Okay, thank you very much.